Hello and welcome back. In the last lecture, we actually defined and designed a new API to search on a particular category or a list of categories, right? And now we need to go ahead and integrate that with our UI. So let's go ahead and do that. In order to do that, we need a new component to be built here, something that'll be a kind of a box that has different checkboxes for different categories. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go inside of the source code editor here and open FE_indie_cafe inside the source folder and components and go into the UI folder. I'm going to create another folder right inside the UI. Okay, and that folder name is going to be called checkbox group. Okay, essentially it's going to be a list of checkboxes in multi-select, essentially, right? Checkbox group.js. All right, super. Did it create? Yeah, oops, this is the directory. I need to rename this. The file would be called checkbox_group.js. Okay, understandably so. Checkbox-group.js. Okay, so in here I'm going to essentially use the RFC functionality. I think it doesn't allow us to use checkbox-group here. Okay, so probably it doesn't allow usage of okay, yeah, not as much. So let me see. Okay, yeah, that sounds good right now. Okay, so in this checkbox, it's going to essentially get a few props here, and that's going to be our list of categories. Okay, so let's see, this is going to be categories. So but before we can actually provide this with categories, we also need to get the categories from the database, right? Which is something that we have not done. So what we're going to do is we'll first get the categories from the database and then populate them, and then essentially supply them as props to this checkbox group. Okay, I think we overlooked that aspect. And what I'm going to do now is head over to my API directory, and inside here I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder called category. In here I'm going to have an index.js file that's going to define API caller. Okay, so let's see how it's going to look like. Over here I'm going to first import the Axios instance. Okay, Axios instance, and that's going to be coming from one level above. That's going to be in utils. Yeah, that's the one, util. Okay, alright, and Axios instance. Super. And in here I'm going to create a new function, and I'm going to say export const, just like before when we did the dish part. I'm going to say get category list, and this is going to be an arrow function, and inside here I'm going to have a try catch block. Okay, and over here I'm going to say const result is going to be wait, and this is going to be Axios instance dot get, of course, and we're going to call /API/categories, and again this has to be an async function. Alright, super, we have the result now, and let's go ahead and return the result. Okay, and in case it's an error, we can go ahead and console log the error, Control-Alt-L, and throw this error up the chain. Okay, I'm going to say throw error. Okay, super, I think we are good here right now. And what I'm going to do now is go over to essentially catalog, and I'm going to import this particular caller, API caller. Alright, I'm going to say import and that's going to be category list here from, that's going to be API/category here. Super. Okay. And what we're going to do is, just like we're calling the get dash list in the init, we'll also go ahead and call the get categories. Okay. I'm going to say, just for the sake of commenting, get all categories. Okay. Super. So I'm going to say const categories. Would we say categories or category list? Let's say category list. Okay. Category list is equal to await, and we're going to be awaiting on the get category list. Okay. Alright. And then once we get the list, what we're going to do here is essentially we have to maintain some state here. I'm going to maintain a separate state for categories, so I'm going to call it categories, okay, and then set categories, and it's going to be again an array, right? So now after this, what we're going to do here is call the set categories, and I'm going to say the category list here, okay, dot data, just like before, because all our data was going to be part of the data object, if you recall from the earlier API invocation for this one, just like here. Okay, super. So let's see what happens now. This should populate our categories, and then we can provide that to the, let's see, to the checkbox group. Okay, let's see if we actually get that categories in here. Not getting anything. Result object. We can look at the components and see if you can get the categories populated for the catalog. Alright, I think we do have the categories here. Not sure if these are the categories. There's so many categories we had only. Interesting. Let's see. I'm not sure if something went wrong here. Let's check. Go back to the code base. I think we're not setting the categories. We're getting the get dash list. Oh my goodness. It is not get dash list, it's actually category list. Okay, that's a problem. Alright. Super. So this should essentially seal it now. Okay. Let's go back to the UI. Now we should be able to see the categories. We have only 4 of them right now. Okay, and if you expand it, you'll see all those details, right? Like name and all that stuff. Probably, when we do that, we can probably get rid of this added by and all that stuff, right? Because we don't need to send this back. The user doesn't need to essentially get this information at all, right? So let's, yeah, we have to probably deselect them when we're sending that, right? Just like we do for photo. Yeah, something to keep in mind. Okay, and after this we can go ahead and create our checkbox group inside of the fv_indie_cafe. We will head over to the checkbox group.js. Okay, and in here what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a new method here, and that's going to call render checkbox group. Okay, that's going to be our function. I have to prefix it with a const. Alright, and super. And let's see what we can add here. So inside of this method, we're going to return a JSX block, right? And that's going to include a div and that's going to be a list of categories, right? So I'm going to open a unordered list tag, right? And in here I will go ahead and map over the categories dot map, and in this we'll get a category, and for each category what we're going to do here, we're going to essentially return a new div, right, and an li to be precise, right? So for each of them we want to return an li, a list item. Okay, that's going to look like this. Alright, okay, closing tab, closing angular bracket, and inside the li this is going to have a key. Obviously, for each iterable entity we need to have a provided category key, and that's going to be category._id. Okay, and each li would have a label. Okay, and actually it'll have a div before we actually can get a label, because we want some styling to be in place here. So I'm going to say div, and that's going to have a class name. Okay, and that's going to be equal to form check label. Okay, label. Okay, and let me go ahead. I think it's already closed, and inside here what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially have the label. Okay, this is going to be a label. Sorry about that. This is going to be form check, and this is going to, and it also is going to have it's just going to be a form check, yeah, and then the label is going to be form check label. Okay, class name is going to be form check, form-check label. Alright, and inside the label what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have the input of type checkbox. Okay, let's say input of type checkbox. Super, that was excellent machine learning stuff. Style is equal to, should we need a style here? I think we will think about it later, maybe just the color part of it, but for now I think we'll revisit at a later point in time. Okay, so this is going to have a class name. Okay, form check -input. Alright, and I think that's about it. Okay, yeah, so let's close this, and then after this we'll just print the label name. Alright, so right next to the form check input we'll have the label name. Okay, so this is going to be category dot name. Yep, that's it. Okay, so let's go ahead and render the checkbox group here now. So I'll go to the return statement, get rid of the divs, just go with the empty React fragments. Okay, get rid of this. Okay, and I'm going to call the render checkbox here. Alright, super. We can go over to catalog now and import this new component. Obviously it needs a little bit of styling, but we want to make sure it actually gets rendered on our catalog component. I'm going to say import checkbox group from, it's going to be UI checkbox group. I think, yeah, we actually introduced a, you know what, let's get rid of this hyphen, and then we'll make this uppercase G, and same case here, same thing here as well. Lost the focus here. Rename. This is going to be a group, checkbox group. Okay, super, and yeah, super good here. So I'm going to say checkbox group. I think this should hold good now. Okay, so compiling fine. It's saying checkbox is not used, categories assigned never used. We're going to use that shortly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and add a few things. inside of my render catalog, if you look here, we had some empty columns here. So the first thing I'm going to do here is essentially have a header, and that's going to be an H4, and I'm going to say filter by category. Use the uppercase C here. Okay, so let me minimize this so you can get a view of what's happening on the browser, right? Go ahead and collapse the sidebar, and in here, let's see what we get, right? Also close the console. Super. Don't worry about this layout, we'll eventually fix that. Yeah, we should get the H4 now, right next to the dishes, right? I'm going to save this. There we go, we get the filter by category, okay? And after this, I'm going to call the checkbox group, okay? And we also have I think, if I recall correctly, yeah, it only gets the categories now, that's fine. And I'm going to say checkbox group, and I need to pass the categories, otherwise it's not going to display that. Categories, and that's going to equal categories. Yeah, we already have it populated. Let's go ahead and call this, press Control Save, Control S. Yep, we do see them, but not very pretty, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and change a few things here, and firstly, let's give it some styling. So I'll head over to my checkbox group.js, and in here, I'm going to go ahead and create a new styling file, a CSS file, okay? And head over here and go to UI. Inside of that, I head over to checkbox group, create a new file, and that's called checkbox group.css. Alright, super. So in here, let me collapse the sidebar again. I'm going to have a class by name checkbox group, okay? And over here, I'm going to have a border for this checkbox. The first thing is we're going to have a min height, right? So before we do that, let's actually assign this to the checkbox group, okay? I'm going to go ahead and import, and for the div, I'm going to assign the class name, and that's going to be type checkbox-group. Is that what we want? Yeah, checkbox-group. I just intentionally made that hyphen because, just for better readability, right? Super, let's go ahead and stick it in. So, no styling yet, but once we start styling it here, it should look good, okay? So, provided a min height, I'm going to say min height is going to be, let's say, 100 px, okay? Alright, no changes yet. And let's say border, let's give it a border of 1 px solid, and I'm going to give a essentially dark green color, and we need to essentially import this into our app.css, and we'll do that shortly. And that's going to be 1F2922, okay? That's what you get here, okay? And I'll also get a border radius. Let's say border hyphen radius, let's say 5px, just to give it some rounded edges. Alright, and let's also give some padding here, padding all around of 5px. Yeah, looking better already. And can say display of flex, just to get a better looking layout. Display flex. Yeah. Alright. And I'll say justify content to, let's say, flex start. No luck. Alright. Align items of center. Okay. Didn't do much actually. Alright, I think we can also go over to the checkbox group and give it some custom styling as well. Okay, so let's head over to the checkbox group here, and in here what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify the float value. Okay, I want them to be, the labels especially, to be floating to the left side. Okay, let's head over to the over here, and I'll say this is going to be, I'm going to give some custom inline style. Style is going to be equal to float of left. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Alright, not bad. Do still have some issues here. That's probably because it's probably shrunk. And if I go in here, yeah, it should show in a nice way. So what if I actually go here and view it in, let's say, iPad or something? Yeah, it's iPad is looking bad. Maybe this is in rotated mode. Yeah, this is how it looks like on an iPad. If it were to be the iPhone, this is how it would look like. Okay, not bad at all, to be honest. Alright, so we got this checkbox in place here, but apparently nothing happens if I go ahead and click this right now. We need to eventually build the event handling aspect of it, and let's take a look at that in the next class. And we'll take a pause here, come back, and then look at the event handling part. And when we click on this, it has to essentially call our APIs and then display those filtered dishes here. Okay, we'll take a brief pause, come back soon.